Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. So we have the skill trailer for ZORYA, the new rate-up hero which will be coming March 5th at the beginning of phase 2. So let's go ahead and get into it and break it down.
You require correction.
So here's the thing. I was the one who went against the grain and personally brought ZORYA to the Lyceum to teach magic. She's got this calm, no-nonsense vibe.
Okay, Specialization, Supreme Arena, and AFK stages. I was kind of predicting that. I thought that she did look more like a PvP hero. And she has synergy with Tossie, who's a staller, Callan, who's like, damage reduction, Twins, and Bonnie as well, a debuff. Okay, let's see.
And she's decisive. Students love her for her practical and engaging teaching style. In fact, they privately named her the best teacher at the Lyceum. But honestly, her gargoyle-like appearance and the way she pops out of nowhere, yeah, that freaked a few of them out. When a battle starts, ZORYA enters a dormant state, making her invincible. While dormant, she recovers her energy and max health every...
Okay, this is a bit problematic because basically it looks like until she fully recovers her energy, she's going to be contributing nothing to the team. She's just in her dormant state. She's gaining 80 energy, looks like every second, which means that would take around 13 seconds in order to fully charge up her energy to actually, I guess, enter into the battle. Yeah, this is looking a little bit like a main faction SCARLITA type situation. We'll have to see. When a battle starts, ZORYA enters a dormant state, she remains invincible and recovers energy, but is she providing anything to the team during this time? Or is she just going to be kind of like a stalling-oriented hero? Yeah, she can only use her skills when she's awake, of course, that's what it's saying over here, but she has short cooldowns on her skills.
Second, once her energy is full, she wakes up and joins the fray.
Okay, so there's a slam attack right at the beginning. We did see this in the trailer for this season, and it has a stun as well, a kind of AoE damage. It will depend how high this damage actually is. She also has an attack buff, which is interesting.
But while she's awake, she stays steadfast, spending her energy every second.
So she's steadfast, that is good, not really controllable. She's going to consume, it seems like 50 energy per second, which means it will last for around 20 seconds until she will, I guess, maybe go back into her dormant state. So like, okay, the first 13 seconds of battle, basically she's going to be dormant, not doing anything it seems like. Then she enters a battle, she has like low cooldowns, maybe impactful skills, and she's going to have like maybe 20 seconds of this value before she goes dormant again.
And when her energy is depleted, she goes back to sleep.
Oh, she recovers health while she's dormant. Yeah, I think that she's looking like a stall type angle. However, I'm very worried for PvP because like she has a delayed entrance right now, just like SCARLITA, and we know how like SCARLITA is not good because your team basically is forced to fight a 4v5, and it looks like ZORYA is going to do the same thing. However, in a stall-oriented team, or I can see the value with Athalia on the same team. I'm surprised he didn't name Athalia as one of her good partners, because, if you're talking about a hero which is going to stall, whether it be Igor, Saida, or anything like that, or ZORYA, Athalia is a great partner, because Athalia can keep hitting the enemies while, ZORYA is still alive, even maybe in the dormant state.
Every time ZORYA wakes up, she lands in the area with the most enemies, dealing damage to nearby enemies and stunning them for a few seconds.
It's just a few seconds stun. I don't think that's good enough for AFK stages, honestly. Like, that's the only crowd control I've seen so far, and other than that, she's like not doing anything in the team until she actually activates. Yeah, and also what I'm worried about in PvP is even if she enters a fight late, if you've already lost some of your allies, and the enemies are having an advantage, like a number advantage against you, they're gonna just kill your ZORYA quickly before she can probably even enter the falling dormant state. And that's also a problem because then she can't even stall that effectively.
It seems like she's bringing the same strategy she uses in battle straight into her classroom.
Okay, there's one other thing which I guess we kind of glossed over, which is that when if we go ahead and continue over here, information over here. Yeah, energy recovery from sources other than this skill will not affect ZORYA's current energy level when she's in the dormant state. Or I guess maybe even in the wake state. Basically, you cannot change her energy. You cannot reduce her energy. You cannot increase her energy. It's just basically on a timer. The count, the increase in energy and then the decrease in energy. However, when you boost the energy from heroes like Rowan or Twins or things like that, then it will boost her attack permanently instead. And again, it will stack up to a certain limit. And so that is just going to make her more of a threat. Basically, each time you can boost her energy. So that is kind of interesting.
ZORYA's gargoyle-like body's got a real purpose. When she wakes, her petrified skin activates, reducing all damage she takes. But this effect wears off over the next few seconds.
Okay, so it wore off right now. We saw that damage reduction basically buffed. So she will have damage reduction, and it is going to like reduce over time, eventually completely wearing off. But that is useful. It depends how high the damage reduction is. It has to be really high if you want it to be able to basically stall out enemies. Okay, and the active, I guess we'll read it.
When she casts her Gargoyle Rampart skill, she summons this huge shadowy wing that strikes the enemies within the radius of an arc in front of her, dealing damage and knocking them down for a...
Okay, so more crowd control in her kit. Now, this is, I guess, where the AFK stage angle is coming in. She has a knockdown on the active of the skill, and like we were informed, is that when ZORYA is in her, like, when she's awakened, she has a really low cooldown on her skill. So potentially she could actually, you know, almost have permanent uptime, maybe of this knockdown, whenever she's actually active. But when she's dormant, then you're gonna lose out on that. And that is kind of a problem for AFK stages.
Wow. I hear the statue she's using now is one she picked herself. Supposedly, it's the one that best represents her personality. When she attacks in that form, there's no escaping her grasp. While she's awake,
she does have, it seems like, pretty decent damage in her skills, and like, you know, chaining multiple skills at the same time, with the knockdown, with the stun to begin with, and she has a life drain buff as well, I guess, with her exclusive skill, so like she can maybe sustain and be a sustained tank.
ZORYA gains the bloodthirst effect, allowing her to drain more health from her enemies. Every time an enemy falls around her, she immediately heals herself.
Yeah, I mean, getting a kill or assist, I guess, on an enemy is gonna give her a big amount of healing, but in AFK stages, like, that happens really late in the fight, when it's basically you've already won, and in PvP, yeah, I mean, potentially you could get a kill or assist, and that could help you. I don't know, I'm really reluctant about her in PvP, mainly because she's just dormant, doing nothing at the beginning of the fight. As of right now, we haven't seen any utility she provides while she's in that dormant state, and it does seem to last like 13 seconds, like based on my calculation, if it is an 80 energy gain per second. And that is not great, honestly. I mean, because your team is going to be fighting the full 4v5, and then they're going to have to somehow just have really stall, really tank. I guess with Alna, and like, you know, if more invincibility heroes come out, then like you can still fight a 4v5 just fine. You don't need the 5th hero. But then what is ZORYA actually providing to that team if you don't, you know, yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Some of her max health. When she casts Devouring Strike, ZORYA deals damage to every enemy around her twice. Then she strikes again with an intimidating blow, dealing damage plus extra damage based on the target's lost health. ZORYA's
yeah, but that's just going to be a damage multiplier. It's not going to be, yeah, the damage based on health or lost health is just actual damage based on a percentage of the health or lost health. It's not HP loss damage or anything like that. Okay, so this is going to be the exclusive skill.
Master of all kinds of magic, and her force field spell? That's something else. While she's awake, she creates a field around her that reduces enemies' movement speed and haste while increasing her own. Isn't that something?
That is pretty interesting. I love buffs or debuffs. It isn't any team buff. It's a buff to herself, but it's a debuff to the enemies who she's going to be near because she just pounces on them. And the movement speed debuff, not that as interesting as a haste debuff. Haste debuff, especially on range carries, it can be really debilitating, depending on the value of it. So there's some utility there, but again, I just think it's too slow, because up until she can actually cast and actually enter the battle, which is like, you know, you have to wait the 13 seconds, kind of like waiting for SCARLITA, that is going to be a problem.
And whenever an ally uses their ultimate, ZORYA's haste bonus gets a permanent boost.
Okay, so she gets permanent boost each time an ally casts an ultimate, so I guess that's why there's synergy with the twins. However, for PvP, twins are not the greatest, but I can see definitely other heroes which have, you know, fast ultimates, whether it be Theodore Siren combo, whether it be Iron, or even Nero or something in the team. And the effect will stack, but only up to a certain limit. And haste will even further reduce the cooldowns of her skills, so she can cycle it more, and she does seem to have pretty impactful skills, knockdown and then pretty high damage.
She switches between sleep and wake states, never in one for too long. Her spell casting is graceful and her timing is spot on. Most important, she might drop from the sky, summon a giant wing, or simply stand her ground. Honestly, no one's better suited to teach monsters and hypogeans than ZORYA. She's been through it all.
Yeah, like, look at this, right? She's really cycling her crowd control effectively, cycling her skills very quickly, and especially if you have a couple ultimates cast of your allies, she's gonna have that really high haste, right? And she's really gonna cycle this fast.
Honestly, no one's better suited to teach monsters and hypogeans than ZORYA. She's been through it all.
But the issue is ultimately for either PvP or AFK stages, once her energy is depleted, which I think is just like a 20-second period, she's gonna go back dormant and do nothing for your team. And so that's a real drawback. And like, the only way you can make that drawback into an actual advantage for you is if you're going for like a stall comp with Thalia or something in PvP, and you just want to, like, you're really happy to have a dormant state as well, because basically the enemy can't do anything to you, and your Thalia just gets free value knocking, repeatedly hitting the enemy. And so that I can see the value, or even like, you know, Bonnie's debuffs, just ticking damage over time, along with ZORYA, I can see the value, that combo. But let's go ahead and continue over here to the synergy.
Class is in session. Today, we're going to talk about how to drag out a battle and control the pace to your advantage.
Yeah, Citrana, Bonnie, they seem like really good allies for ZORYA, because ZORYA is going to basically stall out the enemies. She's going to begin in dormant state, then she's going to be really tanky, damage reduction, crowd control the enemies, stun them, and then basically she's going to have all of her energy eventually depleted. She's going to go back into dormant state, and all the while, the damage over time from these skills of Bonnie and Citrana are just going to keep ticking on the enemy. And so I can definitely see the value of the synergy there.
ZORYA starts by going dormant, charging up while keeping an eye on the battlefield dynamics. And then, when she's ready, she enters the fight with full force, disrupting the enemy's attacks and using her force field to weaken them. With her Bloodlust effect, along with the ability to gain haste and heal herself, ZORYA can keep fighting as long as needed.
But look at this, you're seeing it here, right? Especially when her damage reduction buff wears off, and if all the enemies are now focus firing her because like the rest of your team's almost dead, then potentially they could just kill your ZORYA before she can re-enter her dormant state. And you want her to get back into her dormant state really quickly for PvP, because then she can heal and she can just basically stall out the enemy's long dead.
While the enemy grows weaker by the second. Watch, charge up, cast, finish. That's how she does it. Class dismissed. ZORYA's got a soft spot for her students and has helped plenty of them without bragging about it. Blaymar used to say that about me. I remember it like it was yesterday. You're my best student and one of my closest friends. There's no reason for me to hold back. And these petty illusion tricks, they've got nothing on you, right?
Okay guys, so that is what we have for this ZORYA skill trailer. Definitely an interesting hero, but looking like a PvP kind of stalling tank in a way, even though technically she's a warrior. She really does have a lot of similarities to SCARLITA, who is also a warrior, being that they join the battle late. You're forcing your team to fight a 4v5 until they join, but then when they do join, you hope that the value they add to the team makes up for their late appearance in the battle. And with ZORYA, I just don't know, honestly. Like, I think I can see her along with like the Bonnie type strategies or Athalia on the team and just try to stall out the opponents and get that long-term value of a long fight. But I am very worried that if you pair ZORYA into most teams, you're going to have a heavy disadvantage because she's actually providing nothing to the team in her dormant state until she wakes up for the first time. And that is a lot of time basically wasted. And SCARLITA at least provides some, shielding and even immunity to Fatal Blow with her Supreme Plus skill upgrade before she enters the fight. So SCARLITA is doing something, which is again, not enough. But ZORYA is doing literally nothing until she enters the fight. And for AFK stages, I think there's a potential, and I think definitely for newer game accounts, like one copy of ZORYA maybe could be a useful option in AFK stages for a beginner. However, for late game, like actual meta of AFK stages, I just don't see it because she doesn't have the ability to permanently lock down and chain crowd control, because eventually she's going to wear out of her active state, go back into dormant, and then be doing nothing for like 13 seconds, it seems like. And that's not what you want for AFK stages. So anyway, those are my thoughts about ZORYA. I think that right now she's looking like an easy skippable hero, which is good news because you can save up for other heroes, and also because Pippa is going to be coming after her, and Pippa in AFK Arena was pretty meta for AFK stages in PvP, and so I just have a feeling that probably Pippa is going to be more important than ZORYA. But anyway guys, let me know your thoughts about ZORYA in the comment section down below. Is there anything you feel I missed? Let me know. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. And if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. My affiliate link is in the description of this video in a pinned comment. And you can actually bookmark this link in your browser, and whenever you're planning to make a purchase, just return to the bookmark link and make your purchase. It will support me and be greatly appreciated. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.